Okay, so now real quick, on to part two of these videos. We're still working on the who's to blame essay. I took you through the basic prompt here. That was this handout, what you'll be doing, and the rubric. And then I also took you through the sample answers with some of the quotes that can help you build your own argument. I had most of the people that I could think of, along with places to look for quotes for who you might blame for the deaths of Romeo and Juliet. And then the last handout, which is actually the top one here, is the outline. So we'll take a look at the outline together. This is something that you'll complete, I believe. Let me take a look at the week at a glance. You're completing that tomorrow. Okay, so that's Thursday, the 25 writing points for that task. And here is that outline. It's all 5 paragraphs put together here. Mostly, you're going to be taking the paragraphs that you already wrote to kind of complete this outline, but let's take it step by step. First paragraph, you have the introduction that includes the hook, introducing the novel, telling us both the title and the author of the novel, giving us some background, so telling us the setting of the play, giving us a very, very brief summary. This should be maybe 2 sentences, potentially 1 if you can do it. Tell us who the main characters are and overall what happened in the story. So tell us that it's about Romeo and Juliet. They fall in love. They have families that don't like each other. Ultimately, they die at the end. Then take us into your argument. This is your thesis, and have a one-sentence thesis that follows this format. You can basically say the tragedy of Romeo and Juliet or the death of Romeo and Juliet can be blamed on blank, whoever it is that you blame it on, because of 1, 2, 3 reasons. Those are the 3 reasons that are going to come up in your body paragraphs. Okay, so focusing on whichever character you blame, you're going to have body paragraph 1 with a topic sentence. For example, I blame, or Romeo can be blamed for the death of Romeo and Juliet because, main reason, have your quote straight from the book with an MLA citation, something that Romeo does or says in the play, and then explain the quote, tell us why it's his fault, and how does that quote connect to your central argument. Then body paragraph 2, this is where you're going to have your counter argument. Here you can identify another character or another cause for their deaths that you actually disagree with. Okay, so if you're saying that maybe Romeo's at fault, here in your topic sentence you'll say, yeah, I know that I say Romeo is the person to blame. Other people might simply blame Juliet, but I disagree with that. Introduce a quote that someone else could use to support the idea that Juliet is to blame, explain what it means, and then tell us why you disagree with that. So even though someone can come up with a quote or evidence to say Juliet is to blame, tell us why that's actually not the case, why Juliet is not at fault, and then get back to, but here's why Romeo is actually the one to blame. And that's your third paragraph. Get us back to whoever you think is to blame, whether that's Romeo, whether that's Tybalt, whether that's Juliet's parents, whoever you think is at fault, and tell us here again with a topic sentence, a quote, and then an explanation of the quote, why whoever you said is to blame, maybe the friar, why the friar is at fault for the death of Romeo and Juliet. And last but not least, your conclusion. Restate your thesis. Remember that your thesis was up here in the introduction. The last thing with this example, following this format, restate that using different words here at the beginning of your conclusion. Summarize your arguments that you made in all your body paragraphs, 1, 2, 3, and then have a closing. Okay, the closing is one of the most important parts to me. You're basically answering these 3 questions in your conclusion. The thesis and the summary can be 1 sentence each, and then I would recommend that you actually again spend 1 sentence each answering these 3 questions. So potentially you'll have a 5-sentence conclusion. The thesis is 1, the summarizing the arguments is 1. You might end up needing 2 or 3, but either way, these 3 questions should be 1 sentence each. How does your argument impact the outcome of the play? What do we learn from the play as a result of knowing who's to blame? And how is this a different lesson than if another character was to blame? Potentially, probably the one that you disagreed with in your counter argument. So finish this outline on Thursday. If you have any questions, please let me know at office hours, and have a great day.